Let's talk about yun sa another of the issues, marriage, divorce, and celibacy. Although divorce, you can see that also discussed in the Gospel of Matthew, no? In chapter 5 and chapter 19, no? If you want to look at those passages. So the outline of the lesson, the issue of celibacy, and then mutual consent in marriage, and then divorce. So this still with the peride. Now concerning, this is a review. You can see that the peride marks as seeming bookmark or chapter separator. No? 7.1 says on sexual relations, and then now concerning being engaged. So yung um, the step before getting married. And then 8.1, food sacrifice to idols. Okay? So, um, yung dito, yung where the peride comes in, no? Where it appears, spiritual gifts and the collection of the saints. So now concerning the things about you wrote, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Okay? Of course, it's not yung touch a woman na, hey, halika dito. No, no, no. It connotes sexual activity. Not to have, kaya yung English Standard Version has did not took the literal na touch, no, rather yung to clarify sexual relations. Touch is a euphemism for sexual intimacy. By Will Deming, in all the research that has been done, 1 Corinthians 7, this is his perspective, okay? The aspect of this chapter has fascinated and perplexed theologians and biblical scholars more than any other as its characterization of Christian marriage. So, siguro what Will Deming try to point out, it is the issue closest to us, no? Kasi it happens in the home. Okay? It happens in the home. It happens on personal decisions. Who you wish to marry, di ba? Ganito. So it's, sabi ko nga, yung application nito is opens a lot of questions. By David Garland, Paul's vigorous assertions that normal sexual relations within marriage are not optional but required. And that marriage is not a sin. And I remember one of the causes of divorce, no? One of the causes of divorce is not not having proper sexual time together. No? One of the causes yun of divorce. So here, that marriage is not a sin. It can only mean that someone in Corinth was saying that kasi what is Paul trying to say? I want everyone to be like us as I am. So what does he want? What does he really want? For everyone to remain single na lang ba? So is that the proper way of understanding what he means? No? So Paul is not writing a theology of marriage or addressing the rationale for marriage. He is reacting to a specific situation. So as Victor Paul furnished, the topic is not marriage per se, but sex and the Christian. Okay? So see there, no, yung aspect na to within courtship, no, yung sexual activities, no. Paul's purpose is not to argue that people should marry in order to guard against outbreaks of immorality. No, that is not also the solution. That your motive is that you do not want to fall in immorality, so you want to get married. I think that's a bad motive. The motive should always be love. Why you're going to marry? Because you love the person. And Paul's purpose is not to argue that people should marry in order to guard against. He is opposing attempts to be celibate. And so some of the Corinthian believers were saying that since they view sex negatively, so they wanted to remain as virgins. You know, in Greco-Roman, sub-Greco-Roman priests, no? For their priests, yung opposite end naman, virginity naman. Walang commission ng sex. Yun yung kabilang side. So we can see even the effect, no? yung idea here that I want to be holy to the Lord, no? I don't want to commit. Siguro if you are single and you do not want to engage in fornication, I think that's acceptable. Everyone would accept that. Pero yung you do not want to marry, well again, that is again, I don't want, I don't want to be legalistic on it, no? Kasi it depends on the conviction of a person, if that's the leading for him or her. Two views of sexuality in Corinth, a new morality of sexual freedom, or yung kabilang side naman. Yung isa, so sexual. Yung isa naman, lack of sex. Yung isa naman, lack of sex. So you look at it, kayo naman mga adults na yung kausap ko din, so it makes it easier for me to, hindi na to explain into the details, no? Okay, a new morality, motivated by all things were lawful, for them the soul was good, while the body, yung nga yung Platonic understanding of a human body, clearly Paul was not advocating for sex outside marriage. Kasi yung adultery is part of it, no? Kasi yung case ng adultery, you are married, you are engaging sexual relations with someone else. So, but yung fornication before marriage is also a problem. And imagine nyo yung Corinthian church, no, coming from this type of background, no? And then they'll be listening na, no? So is Paul crazy, no? So si Paul pa ngayon yung crazy, no? So kasi nga it was Jewish culture being brought into or introduced, no, to pagan Gentile backgrounds. Si Luther, Paul's claim that they possess God's spirit, and so dahil they possess God's spirit, they had access to knowledge, and then when they commit sex, they are not doing sin. Yan. There's no sense of, sabihin natin, why should I, di ba yung ano yun, yung guilt. Why should I have a guilty feeling, di ba? And so they believe that the spirit is good, and it has been renewed, no, by the message of the gospel, no? So this led them to believe they had access to knowledge, gnosis, a freedom of action, no? And so the other side of it, so no, challenge sa mga singles, no, kung this is the direction, no? Some in Corinth believe that because they became Christian, they should abstain from having, sabi ko nga yung kabilang extreme. When they became Christian, they believe their bodies should be free. Yung isa, totally engaged. Ito naman, no engagement. So pareho may problem. From David Prior, this plethora of sexual temptation inevitably produce a general opposition to marriage as a reaction to the licentious manners which reign in that city. So, still with the glorification of celibacy, Garland, an overcharged, overrealist eschatology and a negative attitude toward the body that reason that sexual activity somehow sullied one's spiritual nature. And Ernst Cassiman, the believers evolved into a theology of enthusiastic freedom, that they had come into possession of the eschaton. So they already experienced the resurrection. So which is not true. They, the group advocating celibacy, not only were speaking the tongues of angels, but by renouncing marriage and conjugal relations, they were living like angels. They could even appeal to Paul's example as one who remained unmarried for spiritual purposes. For them, sexual abstinence was their way of stepping out of the world, stepping up to God. If that is a personal conviction, then what can we do about it? But it is not really required, no? Kasi what if there is this opportunity for a person to get married? But I really do not want to get into that, because the personal decision is always has something to do with whether a person gets married or not. It is not good that a man should be alone. So Genesis 2:18. It's good for a man. Yung kabila naman, not to touch a woman, even if we were married. Paul's response to, yung ano yun, for those who believe in celibacy, no? Na kahit na married na sila, wag na lang mag sexual relationship because na-corrupt nga yung understanding nila. On celibacy, no? 1 Corinthians 7:7 until 9, I wish that all were as I myself am, but it just is out. By the way, this is debatable, no? Whether Paul actually was married or not, no? Kasi one of the prerequisites of becoming a rabbi in Jewish society was he should be married, no? So it's really difficult, no? Kasi you look into the context, you would say, for me, Pastor Edwin, I believe Paul was single. Paul remained single. But when you look at all his writings, you need to look at all his writings. You can see here his fatherly, yung fatherly, yung approach niya, that it appears that he is talking to you, or you are reading a letter from a person who had children, something like that. But of course, we're not trying to force that here. I'm just trying to say that the debate continues, no? So one of this kind, referring to yung gift na to, yung gift na to, the duron, referring and the gift of celibacy. To the unmarried and the widows, say that it is good for them to remain single, but if they cannot exercise self-control, they should remarry. 1 Corinthians 7:17, only let each person lead the life that the Lord has assigned to him. By being devoted, being dedicated to the Lord, to Christ. This is my rule in all churches. Either for marriage, in the process of getting married, or living as a single. Each one should remain in the condition in which he was called. So if you are single, you can remain single. If you're married, and then stay married, do not abandon your spouse. If you're divorced, do not remarry. I think that is the question of Pastor Jedidiah. But we will get to that later on. I'm not saying that that's my quick answer or solution to the question. Celibacy is the commitment not to marry. In the Latin or Roman Catholic Church, it is a prerequisite for ordination to the priesthood. The very reason is that the family, your devotion, your loyalty to the family may affect your devotion to the Lord. We give them the benefit of the doubt, and that's how they perceive it. Celibacy, however, was not always a requirement for ordination. In biblical Judaism, being married and producing offspring was an expectation. And we remember St. Peter, no, he had a mother-in-law, Luke 4:38, who got sick, and then Peter asked the Lord Jesus to heal her. St. Paul's instructions regarding ministers included bishops, deacons being married only once. So marriage is allowed, but to be married only once. No? But I've known of church leaders na nagkaroon ng several marriages, pero na lang, by the grace of God, they're still in the ministry. Hindi to widowed, no? Kung hindi, they have their second partners. Throughout the first centuries of Christianity, clergy continued to get. Siguro pwede na natin skip to. Kasi very detailed, and you can read it on your own, no, sa inyong mga. So yun, ang Council of Pavia ang nag-set ng regulation. And 1075, Pope Gregory issued a decree effectively barring married priests from ministry. Okay? So sila today, they can act as lectors, but they're not allowed to preach. No? They are allowed to teach yung parang Sunday school version ng Roman, yung catechism, no? So we call it the catechista. So this is allowed even for women. Women are allowed to be catechists, no? Yung mga married women as well. 10 reasons, siguro pwede na natin skip no, 10 reasons for, kasi, just look at the points na lang. So we give them at least some time. No? Priest as Christ figure, si Jesus Christ was solo. Marriage to the church. But you engage to celibacy, ano na, engage, and then spiritual fatherhood. Though you do not have literal children, you are the spiritual father of the parochial that was assigned to you. And then celibacy as sacrifice. So, celibacy as angelic purity, as a sacrificial act, and then loneliness as a link to Christ. That when they are lonely, they only, yun, yung bang seek comfort. Si Brother Yoni, meron talaga nito, meron talaga. That is how, syempre, yun, tawag mo dito. How they condition their minds, no? And then yung time for prayer. Kasi raw yung family life, nakakaagaw raw siya ng family prayer. No? Yun, ano na lang. Alam natin, di naman totoo yun. Ito yung, yung basis. Do not deprive each other except perhaps by mutual consent. Anyway. And then 8, perfection of the Israelite priesthood. Pero yung Israelite priests, they also have families of their own kasi nga yung continuation ng lineage is important for them, no? Catholics look back to the Old Testament priests. And then even the prophet Isaiah was married, no? Si Hosea din, married to a prostitute, no? Or I don't wanna call her a prostitute. Siguro lang siya, very beautiful lang talaga siya. So, let's call it that way, no? And then a living sign of heaven. Matthew 22 na wala na raw wala na. We are all brothers and sisters na raw when we get to heaven. Okay, we're done with celibacy, marriage. Let each one has his own wife. The verse is not advised that everyone. So be careful. No? This is not an exclusive command, no? To get married. Celibacy is valid, no? Option for some. For all marriage is to be a fully sexual relation. Of course, with that one partner. For Raymond Brown, Judaism did not promote celibacy as well, no? The rabbis expected young Jewish men to marry ordinarily at 18 years of age because it was considered a duty. In Genesis 2:18, it is stated that it is not good for a man to live alone. Each one should have his own wife, and each wife should have her own husband. Persons who do not have a wholesome outlet for sexual feeling in marriage are tempted to fulfill sexual desires outside marriage, and that is where yung problem ng fornication comes in, and that brings temptation to immorality. So not only Paul advocated marriage, he also counsels that husband and wife be sensitive to the sexual needs of each other. The relationship is lifted from one of self-gratification. So the motive of sex is not just for self-gratification, because he said that the body of the husband belongs to the wife, the body of the wife belongs to the husband. So it should be a mutual gratification, not yung para lang for selfish reasons. So that is also what we call a misuse or an abuse of the commission of sex. From David Prior, no? The underlying basis for Paul's insistence on husband and wife giving each other their due is his conviction that about the responsibilities. Note, no, merong responsibilities to one another that should not be neglected, no? That should be respected and treated special and not sinful. By the marriage vow, each relinquishes the exclusive right to his or her body and gives the other a claim to it. By the conjugal bond, each spouse acquires a right over the person of the other. As far as this topic is concerned. Leon Morris naman, Paul does not stress the duty of either partner over but puts them at a level. So This is not yung a male lording over a woman. Again, that's another misuse or abuse of sexual relationship. The present imperative render, the verb is apodidoto indicates the habitual duty, yung regular sexual relationships ng partners, no? Living time. Many reasons are given for withholding what is due: tiredness, resentment, disinterest, boredom. But of course, everything should be, sabihin natin, overcome, no? Ito mga to. Si Will Deming, some cynics argued against both marriage and sexual relations generally on the grounds that sexual relations take up leisure time daw. Remember yung background nila, they come from yung yung pagan Corinthian background, no? So this is not Athens, this is not Iconium, this is not Ephesus, this is Corinth. No, you take that concept seriously, no? When you try to understand the context. Yeah. The present imperative, do not continue to deprive or rob. I think we already done this, no? Yung kahalagaan in order to avoid pornea. No? To avoid pornea. Paul reminds them that they were still subject to bouts with sexual temptation. No? As long as we live, no, that will be the case. The sex instinct is a powerful drive and Satan a powerful adversary. Therefore, Paul cautions them not to overstrain the flesh to matter how willing the spirit might be. It's not yung bang you are forcing yourself, no, to resist sex because that is what your spirit wants to achieve. In doing so, you're only tiring yourself. No? And then later on, mag-give up. I mean, mag-give in. Baka hindi kagandahan yung maging effect. Paul allows a withdrawal from conjugal relations on certain conditions. It must be of mutual consent. No? Ano yun, the husband and wife should come together first. No? Hindi naman yung magkaroon muna kayo ng praise and worship. No? Kaya listen to Christian songs. Actually, parang baliktad yata yun. Pagkatapos, tara, tulog na lang tayo. It is really, yung religious devotion, it is really, and it must be for a season of prayer. Ang motive na to, we do not neglect the prayer of the married couples. Na hindi siya bago mag-sex, ito yung muna requirement. No, hindi it's really yung concept of prayer should be regular. No? And then it must be done for a limited time, yung sinasabing withholding sex. No? Kasi para siyang fasting, no? No, you set aside not to eat and then you devote into prayer. Parang ganoon, pero ewan ko kung kasi hindi na, most of us do not count yung sexual relationships as considered as fasting. So the work of, punta tayo dun sa problem. The word for lack of self-control, no? Akrasia, no? Appears in the New Testament elsewhere only in Matthew 22:25, where it is translated self-indulgence, no? Self-restraint. Becomes clear in 1 Corinthians 8-10. The Judeo-Christian component appears most prominently yun sa 7:2. Paul holds that marital relations are necessary because permanent abstinence exposes a spouse to the danger of fornication. If the person runs out of self-control, ganun yung mangyayari. It is an eventual, no? Eventual consequence. We're not saying na laging ganoon, pero it can happen. Yung temptation ni Satan, no, will push that person to fall into this sin. Ito, considering remarriage, verse 8, to the unmarried, agamos and widows, the keira. Keira. The word agamoy, when translated unmarried, connotes to the English here, those who have never married. So, bakit natin masasabi they are considering remarriage when they were not married? Actually, in Greek, it means demarried. Dating married, pero hindi na married ngayon. Of course, there could be many reasons attached to that. In 7-Eleven, it used to describe the wife separated by her husband. He is to remain demarried. Okay? Di ko alam kung yung question ni Pastor Jedediah has something to. Maybe we could ask her to clarify later on. Verse 9, if they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry. It's better to marry than to burn with passion. Ang pinag-usapan dito, those who have demarried. Again, let's just be honest with this, no? Medyo tanggalin ko yung mga gusto ko nakikita ko kayo. Let's just be honest when we come to this segment, no? Some of you are marriage counselors siguro perhaps. And then, of course, yun nga. But, come to think of it, no, if you consider as demarried, no, strong talaga yung temptation, no, for that person, no, and so seeing this threat of falling into immorality, pornea, dito Paul came up to the response, no, if they cannot exercise self-control, they should remarry. It's better. But of course, that's really up to you kasi this is a question of ethics, no? This is an ethical question, and we all are given the Christian freedom to talk about what is acceptable to us and what is not. No? Kasi I have seen people who have remarried na excellent naman in their ministries. And they are leaders kasi you might ask the question, how about, sir, if they are allowed to the leadership? Yes. But that, again, has to be properly explained. I want to borrow yung sinabi ni Pastor Jan. Yung discipleship is very important to help the people understand, especially in making decisions, no? To clarify things and to limit or to completely avoid yung confusion. So, wala ano talaga to. Ano talaga. Favorite, the song for the day. Kasi magki-Christmas na. Silent Night. Holy Night. So, yun. Remarry after divorce. Yes, yes. Hindi, sabi ko nga, kasi in the Philippines, we do not have divorce. We do not have divorce. We only have legal separation or annulment. And then people would say, ano bang gagawin natin? What shall we do? Legally separated muna before engaging. Pero wala na, hindi na tayo mga bata. It's already happening. It's inside our churches na eh. Huh? It's inside. Ang real question there is, as church leaders, how do you respond to these issues? How do you give, sabihin natin, the keys to the kingdom, no? Yung the keys to your own car para sa mga taong ito that are, no? And then kaya nga, and so I've seen I have a good friend, no? Is from Batangas na nag-remarry siya. Yung kanyang mga anak, they are all may mga separate families of their own. And yung wife niya has another husband, is living with another husband. So it's really impossible we say go back to what they call a reconciliatory level, no? And so nag-remarry siya, but he is in the ministry. And so what the sabihin natin, what the council did, no? The council, hindi yung church council, no? Kung hindi yung council of pastors, no? Within Cavite, they gave him the blessing, no? And who would think, no, glory to God, yung some of his children became Christian as well, di ba? So again, Pastor Jedediah, that's me. No? That's my opinion. I would not say my opinion is the best one. But ayun, we need ano talaga we need a lot of love, no, for these people. Kagaya niyan, I know someone, Brother Yoni, sa Silang, I know someone. Ganon din, yung wife niya, first wife niya still alive. And then he's engaged in the ministry kasi ang ganda ng testimony niya eh. But he is living with his second wife. What are you going to do with that, diba? So syempre, it's really a balance between the practice of grace and justice. Pag naman sobrang justice, actually, what we're seeing here is the problem leading towards justice. Eh. Yung problem about temptations and falling in sin. Sige na, mag-react na kayo. Brother Yoni, wag ka na mag-react. Wag ka na mag-react. Joke lang.
Ano yun, sir?
Sabi ko, wag ka na mag-react. Para magsalita naman yung iba. Hindi kita binabawalan. No? Pinapasaya lang kita. Ayan, nagpa-anal muna po. Bago siya. Ano rin niya eh. Sabi ko nga, there is a legal aspect to it. No? Yung concept of the law of the land. But that's the law of the land. Divorce equals annulment. Ano lang siya, using a different language lang. Kasi I've met, no, I don't wanna see close. I've met theological professors na na nag-divorce sila and then they're with their second family. What am I trying to say? Bakit tayo double standard? Why are we always double standard? Why are always we giving? Do not get me wrong. I'm not trying to promote yung issue of annulment or divorce here. I'm trying to highlight here yung problem natin that sometimes we smile, we shake the hands, no, of some people, but using the same rule, we also criticize and yan. Nandito si Pastor Jan. He wants to help us. Yan. Sige.
Actually, I just remembered na yung tag dito. Yung immoral woman, I think it was, I don't know if it was Mary Magdalene. Nung nag-stoop down si Jesus, he was writing on the ground. The only thing Jesus said was sin no more. Well, it was about righteousness. You know, in a relationship, what should come out should be righteousness. And so, looking at it in relationships like that people have, itong yung mga intertwined doon ng mga relationships na ang hirap, paano ba natin to i-resolve na may mga asawa, tapos nag-asawa, tapos may mga anak, tapos di pa sila Christian during that time, tapos naging Christian. And of course, it's adultery, right? If you're going to say it plainly, it's adultery, right? But how can we, how can we help them na alangan namang pagbalikin pa natin sila dun sa mga asawa nila dati, di ba? It's really, I don't, it's, but then the end point of everything is righteousness. Because how can they, how would God see them in their present situation where they are living in sin?
Yes, kaya nga.
So how can the church or the Christian community help them for them to live a life of righteousness?
Yeah, good.
Like that.
Good, kaya nga. Yung righteousness pa rin yung dapat maging endpoint, no? In everything that we do, no? Before we hear from Brother Yoni, is that some people are to say, hiwalayan mo yan, balikan mo yung first wife mo. And then, the person is too obedient. He abandons his second wife and then goes back to the first wife. Ang problema, he had children with the second wife. So, tama ba yung ginawa natin? Di ba? Kawawa yung bata doon. Lalaki yung bata na, what happened to us? Where's daddy? Di ba? Dati nandito si daddy. So, tayo pa ngayon ang nag-create ng dysfunctional na relationship. So, si Brother Yoni, let's hear it.
And so just to add to Pastor John, I agree. It's like, you can't unscramble scrambled eggs, sabi nga ng isang pastor namin dati. It's just like, humans' lives will always be messy, and the end point should be righteousness. Ako naman kasi, personally, I have a bias. I strongly believe if you go for a divorce, that's violence on your partner. Nasa biblical din naman yun, nasa Malakay yun. So, I kind of hard to, ako personally naman, again, I'm not saying it's my church stand, pero ako personally, I find it hard to, to include someone, especially if you cheat on your wife. That's kind of a red flag for me. And again, maybe I should work on that more. Maybe I need Jesus to reveal more of His compassion on me regarding that, Mark. Pero yun sa akin eh. So it's just that it's a strong bias for me, just because I've seen what it can do to families. Pag nag-cheat ka, it's not pleasant. And in the same way, I've also seen people who are just extremely arrogant about it. Naalala ko dati, in the church a long time ago, this person actually brought his mistress the same church na nandun yung family niya. Magkaibang lugar lang sila nakaupo. So parang, hindi naman pwede yun. Parang, how do you even... So, di ba? So, obviously, yung mga ganyan, it's not going to lead to righteousness. So, I agree with Pastor John. Parang, you need to address that. Pero yung gano'n nga, yung sabi ni Sir, yung na, let's say, nagkalokohan sila unang wife niya, and then he found another one. Do we really ask him to go back? Especially if they've already invested in other people. That's kind of messy. Maybe I lack the wisdom to handle that right now. Pero as far as I stand, nandun ako parang, I see righteousness, but it's a very hard bridge for me to cross at this point. Yun lang, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mas easy sana if they did not have children, no? Kasi the woman, she can find another person to marry. A single na maging partner niya. But, ayun. Siguro na rin lang, we all have different pastoral experiences, no? So, lumilitaw naman, right? Even yan, I'm the professor, I'm not saying that I'm always correct about it. But we need to, we should talk about it rather than being ignoring that this is happening in society. Sige, Pastor Jen.
I mean, I also get the points of what was discussed. I mean, it's easier for us to weigh things if the person who will remarry, maybe came into Christianity on that situation already. But if a person is already a Christian, then separated, then chooses to remarry, I feel like that's one of the things I'm like more concerned about. That's the word, concerned about.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's get back. Thank you. Yan, please. Yan lang. yung the need for us to have feedback sa ating mga pinag-usapan. Paul's wish is that all widowers and widows could be as he is encumbered by a spouse. So, widow, of course, the definition is your husband or your wife died. No? So, this is just an encouragement. But again, if the widow, the problem is about struggling with self-control, then it's really, kasi wala naman is the marriage vow within the person is broken since he's already dead by default, no? So he or she is doing nothing wrong, no? When he or she chooses to remarry. That is for widows, no? So okay, better to marry than siguro a few times ko na mention tong phrase na to. Paul flatly rejects the idea that it is good for married persons to make a shift to celibacy. But it may be the case that it's good for a widowed spouse to remain celibate. This is not, however, a mandate. No, it's not a absolute rule. It is really depending on the what is yung individual needs, no? and how they manage to control their own life. No? Paul argues that it is better. Creighton, it is a comparative. No? Comparative of kalos. Kalos is good. So it is better to marry than to burn with frustrated desire. That's yung burn in passion, frustrated desire. Garland follows Strange, suggesting that Paul may have highlighted their case simply because there were more widows than widowers. No? And they faced more, widows is men, di ba? Widowers were females. They faced more serious economic problems by remaining single. Champa and Rosner, the Apostles' Council, fills out Paul's reason staying unmarried if they can. But this is not an absolute rule. I keep repeating that. Kasi you would say, this is written in the Bible, yes, but it's not an absolute rule. No? Because of the present crisis, because of the end of the world, and because of the distractions of married life. Notwithstanding these reasons, Paul allows those unmarried the freedom to choose whether to get married or not. Kasi unmarried naman. Siguro nasabi na natin ito. Hindi, ito na lang siguro. To burn with passion is literally to burn, prompting the suggestion by some commentators that Paul is referring to the day of judgment. Not too much. In this case, verse 9 would be saying it's better to get married than to commit sexual immorality and face the fires of hell. Paul, it is thought, is alluding to 1 Corinthians 3:15, the fires of judgment. And then 6 verse 9, sexual sins lead to being excluded from the kingdom. So against this interpretation, Alexander has shown that burning was a widespread metaphor for the forces of erotic passion in both Jewish and pagan sources. Okay, on divorce, siguro this